Hello, Lightseekers. Welcome back to our sacred space, where we explore the depths of spirituality and uncover the mysteries that connect us all. Today, we're delving into a topic that touches the very essence of who we are: psychic abilities. Whether you realize it or not, every one of us is born with the potential to connect with the unseen, to tap into energies beyond the physical, and to communicate with the spiritual realm. This is not something reserved for a select few. It's a universal gift, embedded in the fabric of our souls. In the journey of life, there comes a moment when our psychic abilities start to stir within us, calling for our attention. These abilities, often subtle at first, can manifest in ways that are easy to dismiss or misunderstand. However, if we ignore these signs, we risk losing a vital part of our spiritual growth. In this video, I'll guide you through 3 key signs that your psychic abilities are calling out to be nurtured and developed. We'll explore these signs in depth, offering not only explanations but also practical steps to help you harness your innate spiritual power. Understanding psychic abilities. Before we dive into the specific signs, let's take a moment to understand what psychic abilities are and why they matter. Psychic abilities, often referred to as extrasensory perception, ESP, encompass a range of phenomena that go beyond the physical senses. These include clairvoyance, seeing beyond the physical; clairaudience, hearing beyond the physical; clairsentience, feeling beyond the physical; telepathy, mind-to-mind communication, and many more. These abilities are not supernatural. They are a natural extension of our consciousness. Throughout history, many cultures have recognized the existence of these abilities and have integrated them into their spiritual practices. From ancient shamans who communicated with spirits to modern-day psychics who offer guidance, these abilities have been used to bridge the gap between the physical and spiritual worlds. But why are these abilities important? At their core, psychic abilities allow us to connect with the deeper aspects of our existence. They help us understand the subtle energies that influence our lives, guide us in making decisions, and offer us insights into our purpose and destiny. Developing these abilities can lead to a more fulfilling and spiritually aligned life. Sign 1. Sleep-related experiences. One of the most common ways our psychic abilities begin to manifest is through sleep-related experiences. Sleep is a time when our conscious mind takes a back seat, allowing the subconscious and spiritual realms to come forward. If you're experiencing unusual phenomena during sleep, it could be a sign that your psychic abilities are awakening. Sleep paralysis, a gateway to the spiritual realm. Let's start with sleep paralysis. This phenomenon occurs when you wake up and find yourself unable to move. It can be a terrifying experience, as you feel completely paralyzed, often with a sense of a presence in the room. Some people describe it as feeling like there's something pressing down on them, while others report seeing shadowy figures or hearing strange noises. From a scientific perspective, sleep paralysis is thought to occur when the brain is awake, but the body remains in a state of REM, rapid eye movement, sleep. During REM sleep, your body is essentially paralyzed to prevent you from acting out your dreams. However, when sleep paralysis occurs, your mind wakes up before your body does, leading to the sensation of being trapped. But what if sleep paralysis is more than just a quirk of the brain? In many spiritual traditions, sleep paralysis is seen as a gateway to the spiritual realm. It's a moment when the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds is thin, allowing us to perceive things that are normally hidden. The sense of a presence in the room, the pressure on your body, and the strange sounds are often interpreted as encounters with spirits or otherworldly beings. When you experience sleep paralysis, your psychic abilities are trying to get your attention. It's as if your spirit is saying, "Wake up! There's more to reality than what you see with your eyes." This can be a powerful moment of realization, prompting you to explore your spiritual gifts further. Astral projection. Exploring the spiritual dimensions. Another common sleep-related experience is astral projection, also known as an out-of-body experience, OBE. This occurs when your astral body, the part of you that is connected to the spiritual realm, separates from your physical body during sleep. You might find yourself floating above your body, looking down at yourself, or traveling to distant places, both in the physical and spiritual realms. Astral projection is often described as a feeling of floating or flying, with a sense of incredible freedom. Some people report visiting far-off locations, meeting spiritual beings, or even traveling to other dimensions. This experience can be exhilarating, but it can also be disorienting, especially if you're not prepared for it. If you've had an astral projection experience, it's a clear sign that your psychic abilities are active. Your astral body is naturally drawn to the spiritual realms, and it's important to learn how to navigate these experiences. Developing your psychic abilities can help you gain control over astral projection, allowing you to explore the spiritual dimensions with confidence and purpose. Recurring dreams. Messages from the subconscious. The third sleep-related sign is recurring dreams. Dreams are a powerful way for our subconscious mind to communicate with us, often revealing insights and messages that we might not be aware of in our waking life. Recurring dreams, in particular, are significant because they suggest that there is an important message that you need to pay attention to. If you find yourself having the same dream over and over again, it's likely that your psychic abilities are trying to communicate with you. These dreams might involve visiting the same place repeatedly, encountering the same people, or experiencing the same scenarios. They could be symbolic, representing something in your life that needs to be addressed, or they could be direct messages from the spiritual realm. Interpreting these dreams requires paying attention to the details. What emotions do you feel during the dream? What symbols or images stand out to you? By analyzing these elements, you can begin to understand the messages your psychic abilities are sending you. Recurring dreams are a powerful tool for self-discovery and spiritual growth, offering you a glimpse into the deeper layers of your consciousness. Sign 2. Heightened sensitivity. The second major sign that your psychic abilities are awakening is heightened sensitivity. This can manifest in a variety of ways, from seeing and hearing things that others don't, to feeling energies and emotions more intensely than usual. Heightened sensitivity is a clear indication that your psychic senses, often referred to as the clairs, are becoming more active. Clairvoyance. Seeing beyond the physical. Clairvoyance, or clear seeing, is the ability to perceive things beyond the physical realm. This can include seeing spirits, auras, or other energies that are not visible to the naked eye. If you've ever caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure, seen flashes of light, or noticed colors around people or objects, you might be experiencing clairvoyance. Clairvoyance often starts subtly, with fleeting images or impressions that you might easily dismiss. However, as your psychic abilities develop, these visions can become more frequent and detailed. You might begin to see spirits more clearly, perceive auras around people, or receive visual messages from the spiritual realm. Developing clairvoyance requires practice and patience. One way to strengthen this ability is through meditation and visualization exercises. By focusing your mind and tuning into your inner vision, you can enhance your ability to see beyond the physical world. Over time, you'll learn to trust your clairvoyant impressions and use them as a guide in your spiritual journey. Clairaudience. Hearing the unseen. Clairaudience, or clear hearing, is the ability to hear sounds, voices, or music that are not audible to others. This can include hearing messages from spirits, receiving guidance from your higher self, or picking up on the vibrations of the universe. If you've ever heard your name being called when no one is around, or experienced ringing in your ears, you might be experiencing clairaudience. Clairaudience can be a powerful tool for receiving spiritual guidance. Many people who develop this ability report hearing voices that offer wisdom, comfort, or warnings. These voices might come from spirit guides, angels, or even loved ones who have passed on. Clairaudience can also manifest as hearing music or other sounds that carry a special meaning. To develop clairaudience, it's important to create a quiet, peaceful environment where you can tune into these subtle sounds. Meditation, particularly with a focus on listening, can help you become more attuned to the vibrations around you. As you practice, you'll begin to discern between different types of sounds and voices, and you'll learn to trust the messages you receive. Clairsentience. Feeling energies and emotions. Clairsentience, or clear feeling, is the ability to sense energies, emotions, and physical sensations that are not immediately obvious. This can include feeling the presence of a spirit, sensing the emotions of others, or experiencing physical sensations that correspond to spiritual energies. If you've ever walked into a room and immediately felt a change in the atmosphere, or if you're deeply affected by the emotions of others, you might be experiencing clairsentience. Clairsentience is often described as having a gut feeling about something. You might feel a sense of unease in certain situations, or you might experience a physical sensation, such as a chill or warmth, when you're around certain people or places. These sensations are your body's way of picking up on subtle energies, and they can offer valuable insights into your environment and the people around you. To develop clairsentience, it's important to become more aware of your body and your surroundings. Pay attention to how you feel in different situations and around different people. Notice any changes in your physical sensations or emotions. Over time, you'll learn to trust these feelings as a form of intuitive guidance, helping you navigate your spiritual journey. Sign 3. Energetic exhaustion. The third sign that your psychic abilities are awakening is a deep, unexplainable exhaustion. This is not just physical tiredness, but a depletion of your spiritual energy. When your psychic abilities are active, but you're not channeling or grounding this energy effectively, it can lead to energetic exhaustion. Emotional overwhelm. The weight of spiritual energy. One of the most common forms of energetic exhaustion is emotional overwhelm. When your psychic abilities are awakening, you might find yourself feeling drained, anxious, or even slipping into depressive states without a clear reason. This is because your psychic senses are picking up on a vast amount of information and energy, much of which can be overwhelming. For example, you might feel the emotions of others more intensely, or you might be sensitive to the collective energies of the world. This can lead to feelings of sadness, anxiety, or frustration that don't seem to have a direct cause. It's important to recognize that these emotions are not necessarily your own, but rather a reflection of the energies you're picking up on. To manage this emotional overwhelm, it's crucial to practice grounding and energy protection techniques. Grounding helps you stay connected to the earth, allowing you to release excess energy and stay centered. Energy protection, such as visualizing a protective shield around you, can help you filter out unwanted energies and maintain your own energetic balance. Energetic imbalance. Symptoms and solutions. Energetic imbalance is another sign of psychic awakening. This can manifest as physical symptoms, such as chronic fatigue, headaches, or digestive issues, as well as emotional symptoms, such as mood swings or difficulty concentrating. These symptoms occur because your body is trying to adjust to the increased flow of spiritual energy, but it may not be fully equipped to handle it. If you're experiencing these symptoms, it's important to take steps to balance your energy. This might include practicing regular energy cleansing, such as smudging with sage or using crystals to absorb negative energy. It can also be helpful to engage in activities that replenish your energy, such as spending time in nature, meditating, or practicing yoga. In addition, it's important to pay attention to your diet and lifestyle. Eating nourishing foods, staying hydrated, and getting enough rest are all essential for maintaining your energetic balance. By taking care of your physical and energetic bodies, you'll be better equipped to handle the demands of your psychic abilities. Embracing and developing your psychic abilities. Now that we've explored the 3 key signs that your psychic abilities are awakening, it's time to consider how you can embrace and develop these gifts. Psychic abilities are not something to be feared or dismissed. They are a powerful tool for personal growth and spiritual evolution. By nurturing these abilities, you can enhance your connection to the spiritual realm and live a more aligned and fulfilling life. Meditation and mindfulness. The foundation of psychic development. One of the most effective ways to develop your psychic abilities is through meditation and mindfulness. Meditation helps you quiet the mind, tune into your inner self, and connect with the spiritual realm. It's a practice that allows you to cultivate a state of awareness that is essential for psychic development. There are many different types of meditation that can support your psychic abilities. For example, mindfulness meditation helps you become more aware of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings, which is important for developing clairsentience. Visualization meditation, where you focus on specific images or scenarios, can enhance your clairvoyance. Sound meditation, where you focus on sounds or mantras, can help develop your clairaudience. Incorporating mindfulness into your daily life is also crucial. This means being fully present in each moment, paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and sensations as they arise. Mindfulness helps you stay connected to your intuition and psychic senses, allowing you to receive and interpret messages from the spiritual realm more effectively. Journaling. Recording your psychic experiences. Journaling is another powerful tool for developing your psychic abilities. Keeping a record of your experiences, dreams, and insights can help you track your progress and gain a deeper understanding of your abilities. It's also a way to process and integrate the information you receive, making it easier to apply it in your daily life. When journaling, try to include as much detail as possible. Describe your dreams, visions, and feelings in detail, noting any patterns or recurring themes. Over time, you'll begin to see connections and gain insights that can guide you in your spiritual journey. Journaling can also help you identify areas where you need to focus your development. For example, if you notice that you're frequently experiencing clairaudient messages, you might choose to focus on exercises that enhance your ability to hear spiritual guidance. By keeping a detailed record of your experiences, you can tailor your psychic development to your unique gifts and needs. Seeking guidance. Connecting with mentors and spiritual communities. Developing your psychic abilities can be a deeply personal journey, but it's also one that can benefit from the guidance and support of others. Connecting with mentors, teachers, or spiritual communities can provide you with the knowledge, encouragement, and validation you need to grow your abilities. A mentor or teacher can offer you personalized guidance, helping you understand and develop your specific psychic gifts. They can provide you with exercises, meditations, and practices that are tailored to your needs, and they can help you navigate any challenges or fears that arise. Joining a spiritual community, whether online or in person, can also be incredibly beneficial. Being part of a community of like-minded individuals allows you to share your experiences, learn from others, and receive support and encouragement. It's a way to connect with people who understand and appreciate your journey, making it easier to embrace and develop your psychic abilities. Practicing and applying your psychic abilities. Finally, the most important aspect of developing your psychic abilities is practice. Like any skill, psychic abilities require regular practice and application to grow and strengthen. The more you use your abilities, the more confident and proficient you'll become. Start by practicing your abilities in small, everyday situations. For example, you might use your intuition to make decisions, tune into the energy of a place or person, or interpret the messages in your dreams. As you become more comfortable with your abilities, you can begin to explore more advanced practices, such as reading auras, communicating with spirits, or offering psychic readings to others. Remember, developing your psychic abilities is a journey, not a destination. It's a process of continual growth and discovery, and it's important to be patient and compassionate with yourself as you progress. Trust that your abilities will develop in their own time, and that each step you take is bringing you closer to a deeper connection with the spiritual realm. Conclusion. Embrace your psychic potential. In conclusion, the 3 signs we've explored, sleep-related experiences, heightened sensitivity, and energetic exhaustion, are powerful indicators that your psychic abilities are awakening. These abilities are a natural part of who you are, and they offer you a unique way to connect with the spiritual realm and navigate your life with greater insight and purpose. If you've recognized any of these signs in your own life, I encourage you to embrace them with an open heart. Developing your psychic abilities is not about conforming to a specific belief system or following a rigid path. It's about exploring your inner world, connecting with your higher self, and living in alignment with your true purpose. As you continue on your spiritual journey, remember that you are not alone. The Lightseekers community is here to support you, and there are countless resources, teachers, and guides available to help you along the way. Whether you're just beginning to explore your psychic abilities or you're already well on your way, know that you are supported and guided by the light. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your experiences with psychic abilities. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay connected to the light, and keep exploring the infinite possibilities of your spiritual journey.